started. Feel free to bring a record to your seats. Or over. Thank you all for being here. Good evening. I do want to start with a reminder that we're meeting on the lands of the Duwamish, Suquamish, and Muckleshoot nations and other Coast Salish peoples past and present. And the staff, board, and artists of Jack Straw Cultural Center acknowledge that we're living, creating, working, and playing on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle and the Salish Sea, and we honor them and the land itself with deep gratitude. And thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you to Kate and Robert for reading for us tonight. I want to mention our audio and technical staff, Tony and Aisha, who are making everything look and sound good for anybody joining us online and for posterity, so really appreciate that. My name's Levi. I manage the artist residency programs here at Jack Straw, and this is actually a great opportunity to combine two of our alumni from two of our programs. So there's the Jack Straw Writers Program, which is an annual cohort that provides training and presentation opportunities to a different group of writers each year. Robert was a 2016 Jack Straw writer, and it's just been wonderful to have him in the Jack Straw family ever since. And then the Jack Straw Artist Support Program, which provides production opportunities for specific projects, working here in the studio or in our smaller studio on a variety of projects. And so Kate came and did her audiobook for Anatomy of My Mixed Body here, and we're so glad to have been part of that. This is our first time getting to have her read her work here in the studio. And for those of you here in person, you may have seen out front the new media gallery space, Katana's installation, The Kelp Forest. That's our third residency program. Part of the reason I'm harping on these residency programs is the applications for 2027 were just made public. So if you out there or anybody in here, if you are a writer, musician, any kind of creative artist that works or wants to work with sound, take a look, think about it. Let me know if you have any questions. The Writers Program applications are due November 2nd. Artist Support and New Media Gallery are due November 23rd. And our curator, so each year for the Writers Program, we have a different invited curator who selects the writers. For 2027 is Harold Taw. And yeah, he's a great multifaceted writer, and he was in our 2011 Writers Program. He's a playwright and novelist and all around great guy, so it should be really fun. Part of the way we make these programs happen at all is through funding from the City of Seattle Office of Arts and Culture, For Culture, Washington State Arts Commission, the National Endowment for the Arts, Arts Fund, the Lester and Phyllis Epstein Foundation, and individual contributors. We make pretty much all of our events happen for free, but we do appreciate any individual contributions folks can make. I think that's enough of all that stuff. Again, really happy to have Kate and Robert here. So Katharine Threet is the author of the poetry chapbook Anatomy of My Mixed Body, which again you can find in audio form, recorded here, and the editor of the speculative fiction anthology If the Storm Clears. Her work has been featured by Blue Cactus Press, Pile Press, and Button Poetry. She's a mixed-race writer and artist whose work resides in the crosswords of identity, land, and home, and is currently working as managing editor for Tulipwood Books, which is a really interesting-looking collaborative poetry press. So excited to see what's coming out of there. So let's hear it for Kate.
That's me. All right, hi everyone. Hi to everyone here in person. Hi to the people online. Greetings. I'm going to read some poems, if you can believe it. I'm going to read some old ones, and I'm going to read some new ones, and I might have a choose your own adventure in the middle. We'll see. And a lot of them are kind of thematically related to this time of the year because that's what I felt like reading, so that's what you're going to get. So, this first one is called Harvesting Song. My baby sleeps soundly next to the riverbed. She swims in the dirt and sings sweet songs to the seeds. Can you hear her? Do you taste her lullabies caked in love and flesh on your lips after you season her? She never completely cooks away. The roots lift easy over my baby. She pushes them up one by one, and we never want for any more than her. My baby's buried deep next to the riverbed. She dances on water, and the watching petals learn to fly. Can you see her? Do you feel her breath on the broken winds across the corn leaves? She never completely cooks away. She never completely cooks away. Thank you. All right. I've got a whole bunch of stuff up here. This one is newer, hence the printed out on computer paper. And it's called I Am Out Dancing and Try Not to Let Myself Think of Salmon. The ceiling overhead ripples between self and silver, a room of slick bodies and our many hands and our mouths opening and closing just enough to taste salt as long as the moment will let us. A nose is bleeding in the bathroom, a bruised arm is kissed better by a stranger. When the salmon tastes its brother's blood foaming in the rapid, does it taste anything like this? When the shadow of the bear looms just ahead, they swim on anyway, though they did not make it last time or any time before that. Searching for sanctuary, heading for slaughter. At least we, are not alone. Huddled masses yearning or begging or any other word for crawling hands and knees towards home. In a haze of sparkles, I try not to think of the poem about 1,000 fish thrashing, guts gouging against rock and current. There are not words enough for the things we will do. It could almost be a love story if we turned a blind eye, if we couldn't recognize desperation in another creature. Then again, the bass of a subwoofer is not so different from the din of white water when paramilitary lurks just outside the club, hunting the night. Now we're in the angry ones. So, this one, you know what? I'm not even going to introduce it. We're just going to get into it. To the Confederate ancestors who shall remain nameless and, due to the laws of history and legacy, disappear. Not all racists. Years ago. Benefit of the doubt. Forgiveness. Of the time. Allied, associated, united. Adjective. Joined by agreement or treaty. Reckon with the fact, blood that nourished, flourished to get here, now, may kill you. Kill to own you, kill to rape you, sell your children in a heartbeat. But times change, right? Associate, partner, accomplice, collaborator, colleague, noun, a person one works with. Do I bother to ask why? Do I want to ask why? Is there another excuse, reason, or is it just I want to know which of them were actually brave enough to say it to my face, here and now? All right. I just decided I'm not going to read this one. Let's keep going. This one's brand new. It's on paper. Isn't that fun? It's written down in everything. It's called Wasteland. We found Wasteland at the parking lot. It collected gloves and socks forgotten on sidewalk corners, but could not figure out how to use them. Saturated to the brim with red 40 and polyester dye, it hadn't had water in days. We offered a bowl for it to drink from, but I believe it went forgotten as the sun began to set. Wasteland squatted over wet crimson eggs, emitting bright steam, and its cough smelled of ethanol, firecrackers, chlorine. Wasteland was the shade of ash left behind in the fireplace, streaks along brick floor, but it did not want for flame. There was no body for it to gather with at the edge of firelight. The sun was going down, and we were leaving soon. Wasteland whined for scratches at its crooked haunches, howled for pats with a glitter-stained tongue. It was sad, and it was lonely, and it wanted us to stay. We sanitized our hands after turning away and did not return. Okay, we're gonna do some choose your own adventure now. Because I couldn't figure out what poems to read in the middle section here and which order to read them in. So do we want to hear a poem about a deer, a poem about grass, or a poem about empire? Yes. Grass. Okay. Everyone wants to hear the one about grass. Thank you. All right, so this poem comes to you in two parts. Self-portrait as blade of grass. I sing for all the simplest things. So too am I tall and slender, shivering in the wind. The sun is kind and made of similar seeds as I am. If flowers be the food of love, I hope to meet the weeds one day, to hold and be held in swaths of tight and honest green. Even I am tainted by greed. Even I lift one hand higher and inevitably cast shade elsewhere. Tomorrow I will turn my face to the sky, learn to cradle the curve of my own lungs. Besides stout leaves, I too have learned to photosynthesize, and I whisper to the bees the difference between holding my breath and falling in love. We are all made up of the distance from us to the tops of the trees. We are all made up of distance. Self-portrait as a blade of bluegrass from the perspective of the empire. I tricked you. This one's also about the empire. All right. Show me all your greenest things. So too am I effective, strong-willed, worthy and polished for your wealth-scaped garden. I build to reach the sun, and I grasp it, for the two of us are the same. If occupation is the food of love, I will starve the rest to weed one day. Fret now, hindrance dandelion, tremble, youthful, foolish clover. Might and I have come to understand one another. Tomorrow I will turn my face to your front door, and you will forget there is any other form of splendor. Let's all forget what was here before, for what is more glorious than I? That bothersome buzz of bees shall distract us no longer, and what a gift indeed. I am made up of the distance between you and I, and it only makes me taller. Down with lawns. Put flowers in your yard. Put native grasses, not bluegrass in your yard. Put a tree in there, please. This has been my PSA. This is actually why I said yes, so I could come and tell everyone not to have a lawn. All right. Well, now that we've done one empire one, let's do the other. This one's called Hope at the End of the Empire. It grabs me by the shaken, dazed wrist, kisses my lips like summer midday between the crepe myrtle leaves. Oh, to drink of one another's voices, to eat of each other's laughter and still offer our tongues fresh for more, more, more. We wade against the current, crawling half the night to birthplace of sand on the shore, plunging elbow deep for the memory of how to embrace one another, cheek to cheek, palm to open palm. Call us little reapers, call us tenders, call us roach. Grief turns the color of cornrows under hydrangea open sky. Buds blooming over the algae show us what it is to be somewhere, to know we will return. Fingertips settle over an ankle, curl into a secret before the slow release. The air turns thick with promises, the fog is low. Our laughter echoes without a road to steer it. All right. Thanks. All right. Let's get back to the book, which Jack Straw so kindly recorded for me. This one, I think I was going to do a preamble about it. You know what? I will do one preamble, which is a shout out to the designer of the physical book, who I was very picky about how I wanted this because it's about a river and I want it to look like a river, and they were very patient with me. So shout out Nick Fost if you ever see this video. Thank you. Yes. All right, let's read it. It's called What I Want to Ask the Potomac River. What does it remember? Does it remember me? Would it tell me if it did? Does it remember the shapes I made as I swam in murky Aegean water, my skin mixing with sunlight to become all but invisible the second I go under? Does the river remember the places it had been before it got there, before it reached the twisted valley of the mid-Atlantic? And isn't it just as lost as the rest of us? Is it? And how often does it linger in the sunny spots, sit on a rock and warm its hide for a moment before continuing its course? Couldn't it change its course if it really wanted to? Does it remember when it did before, and would it tell me how if it did remember? Wouldn't it? And what does it remember of darkened nights brightened by the whites of eyes, echoed by dark legs running in secret, headed perpetually, slowly, north, north? Would it be able to tell me whose blood was the same color as mine? Does it remember the years before them? There were years before them, right? Just like there will be years after. And the years even further before, does it remember those too? Does it remember copper-toned giving hands, unafraid of the men oceans away? Does it remember the beavers, the seahorses and the eagles, all the others who had to leave for so long? Did it notice when they first went missing? It had to, right? Right? I hope the water that rushes eastward remembers them all. I can tell the others they were all there, they were all seen. That's not a question, but isn't it all the same? I hope it remembers that if the beavers can come back after so long, brown and fat and happy, surely so can the rest of us. If they were away, if I have been away, then there's always a here to return to. And if I ever left in the first place, surely wherever I have gone to can be left as well. Surely we exist because of the space we create when our voice echoes above the surface long after the ripples have slid away. Surely we exist because of the space we create when our bodies leave our love behind. And does water remember all the love left behind? Is there room for love in the spaces of the river? I hope it remembers it all. I hope it remembers the negative spaces and the crash of my cannonball, and that someone or something will know I was there, or here, whichever it can remember. Thank you. If you liked the reading of that poem, the audiobook of Anatomy of My Mixed Body was very lovingly and skillfully crafted by the wonderful people here at Jack Straw. So if you want to apply for a fellowship, a residency, to knock on their door and say, hello, what do you do here? Please do so. Amen. And you can find that audiobook on all your audiobook streaming platforms, except Amazon, because fuck Amazon. All righty. Got a laugh. Got a breath of water. Let's keep going. Let's do it. Yes. Okay. This one's for my grandma. She just turned 90 a few months ago. My father yells at Confederate statues. We are in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Lookout Mountain watches sleepily from the horizon over land where generation after generation has loved, cured, and buried each other. My genes are woven into the dirt, history from before legibility. The summer is green and lush and beautiful, and curls damp with sweat stick to the ears and neck. Someone somewhere is always playing music, and someone somewhere is singing along. The air smells of barbecue and blooming trees. There are tour buses heading to the plantations near the river. We are not on them. There's a white man, my father tells me, many generations ago, who snuck into the russet bark of the family tree. I forget this information for years, being too young to understand the implications, to hold a mirror to generational trauma and face the patterns on the other side. We are passing an old graveyard and the sky looks like rain. My father yells at Confederate tombstones to remind them that they lost, and I am too young to yell with him. I am not yet angry enough. We return to black neighborhoods with black mothers and pick berries together, dark and sweet. Yes. All right. We're going to keep it in the matriarch theme for a second here. This poem is called The Women. The women are speaking to each other, setting signal fires in the early morning, somewhere between the hanging laundry as the dawn crumbles up from sea. Sisters to mothers, aunts to grandmothers, they are all having dreams again. This is when the baby comes, when life will split again, child from womb as viscous legs from ancient amphibian. We're still doing the same damn things. The women are speaking to their future selves. We will journey here, to these hills. We will see the ocean again. One unknown water is much the same as any other. What is a dream if not another murky sea? The women are teaching each other to swim, wading into the shallows and plucking stones that will not remember they have been found before. The women are having visions, screaming themselves awake only to miss the train anyway. The women are seeing things in their sleep they weren't supposed to see. They're showing each other what they found in the ocean, tasting their blood in the salted waves and inheriting each other's memories at the flash of metal on their tongues. They are grasping hold of daughters and amniotic fluid over the old wooden tables of what is possible and knocking the cutlery to the floor when husbands' backs are turned. Tell yourself it was the wind if it makes you feel better. The women are whispering to each other through the fences, unearthing small pieces of each other, body after mind after body. The women are containing each other. The women are warming fragments of themselves through holes in the laundry line, pretending it is only the weather they can see coming before the dusk. The women are talking to themselves, echoed in the mirror, in the daughter, in the surface of sea. The women are speaking to each other in dust clouds and locks of hair, marking maps on scalps and muttering the way home. The women are dredging the ocean, glimpsing buried cities we have not built yet and telling each other who they met there. The women are speaking to each other in the ether, in the dream water. The women are remembering how to get there, and they are leading each other to the shore. I've lost track of how long it's been, I'll be honest with you. I think I'm going to do two more. Before I read them, I just want to say thanks again to Jack Straw for having me, to Robert for letting me open up for him. Everybody's in for a treat when Robert starts to read, so I'm excited to hear it. I hope everyone else is excited to hear it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. And I think I'm just going to get into it for my last two poems. I'm going to end it on a higher note because it's a Friday, so let's do some slightly happier ones that are also all about summer because I love summer. So eat your cherries. This one's called The Men at the Grain Silo. Are leaning so close, it is easy enough to imagine their whispered sweet nothings, their self-made sanctuary out the side door, silhouetted on the fire exit over the train tracks, the glittering sound over their shoulders. Not on a smoke break, though that could be the excuse they gave for 2 tranquil moments alone, mid-shift, midnight, as the tide turns out for now. They met on the job, I like to think, one of those rare tales you overhear at a wedding or witness in the park, curious eyes locking across the room or one forearm grazing the other, tentative. The question finally posed, maybe we can make something of each other, just this once. Now this. Now they're leaning against one another, against the railing, against the anonymity of the highway off-ramp in late summer. A moment's silence, begged and earned. The road too loud to use words of any import, but this is what hands, wrists, and mouths are for. Why the corners of eyes crinkle over cheeks mid-kiss, mid-shift, midnight. What do the small and distant people in their rain-slick cars speeding by know of this? Everything, perhaps, everything. Thanks. And this last one I wrote a year ago after getting to see a friend from out of town that I hadn't seen in a while, and getting to see lots of people that I hadn't seen in a while. But that friend is here today, so I'm going to read this poem. And it's called Summer Fruit. Your arms are stronger than I remember. Slightly damp from our midday joys, our chins are smeared with pulp and half-melted ice cream, sweet and tongue-numbing, vanilla cold, passing between lips like a whisper or a wish or a reminder. Only hours ago, my head rested on your chest, warm as ripening peaches devoured in the illicit rush of now. Our laughter is ringing and obnoxious. We're drunk on sun, and well-dressed groomsmen in your palms are full of cherries, tongues made light by a life so beautiful. Our ribs hum an anticipatory ache for saying goodbye. Your arms are still around my back, and we let ourselves linger. Won't you stay a little longer? Won't someone else get married? Since when did you have a gray hair here? Just this morning, the sun managed to claw itself loose. I remembered I could join it, plucked my name perched in the crook of your collarbone. Everything that enters my mouth tastes like plums I ate when I was 11 years old, tart and teasing. I am a fruiting tree, and so are you. Our fingers are slippery with sweat and sugar, and still there are songs to sing, windows down, into the searing sky, the twilight blue. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Let's hear it again. Another round of applause. That was beautiful. So yeah, very happy to have you both here. The impetus for this event was celebrating Robert Lashley's new collection of poems, Can't Find My Way Home, 20 Years of Poems, 2005 to 2025. That makes 20 years. Yeah, it's been wonderful having Robert in our lives for the past decade here. Looking forward to many more. I think both of these books are on Blue Cactus Press, is that correct? And are both available, well, they're both available for sale here, if you are physically here. I think you can find them both on the Blue Cactus website. Would that be accurate to say? Okay.
The website says 22, tonight it's 20, but I can go as low as 15.
All right, you can make a deal with the author himself here. I'm gonna find Robert's bio here. Perfect. I love it. Okay. Robert Lashley is a writer and activist who was a 2016 Jack Straw Fellow, Artist Trust Fellow, and a nominee for a Stranger Genius Award. He's had work published in the Seattle Review of Books, Nailed, Poetry Northwest, McSweeney's, and the Cascadia Review. His poetry was also featured in such anthologies as Many Trails to the Summit, Footbridge Above the Falls, Get Lit, Make It True, and It Was Written. His previous books include Green River Valley, published by Blue Cactus Press, and The Homeboy Songs and Up South, both published by Small Doggies Press. In 2019, The Homeboy Songs was named by Entropy Magazine as one of the 25 most essential books to come out of the Seattle area. And yeah, we're thrilled to have Robert here tonight and as part of our family, so let's give him a big hand.
Bear with me in my shortness of breath. I'm trying to put up a good fight toward heart failure. I thank you all for being here. Catherine, your set was wonderful, and so much of your work is wonderful. I'll begin here. When other kids in the third grade or in my third grade class were asked what they wanted to be when they grew up, some of them said president. Some of them said wanted to play for the Mariners or the Seahawks. I said I wanted to be Whitney Houston's husband. This poem is in her memory. This poem, after W.H. Auden's In Memory of W.B. Yeats, is called Funeral Blues for Whitney. 1. On the day you found what we were missing, a skinny, hungry, thugged-out young boy stopped dead in front of the boombox. Ones were froze. Crap games almost deserted. Hood brothers disfigured by public statutes were transformed by the sound waves of you back in the day. On you and your wonderful instrument, we young thugs agreed. You were wonderful back in the day. And far from our projects, little homies dreamed you in Evergreen Forest. Ghetto nerds were transfixed by radio plays scattered over 1,000 stations. Scattered, squared to 1,000 more affections, immediately and all at once. Immediately, every time we heard you and called ourselves to be better than we were. Immediately, as we dreamed to be something grand, if not grandiose, if only to win your heart. If only then you would scheme up some shit to unearth the sword from our gravel stones and win you, and live happily in your kingdom. But the magic dust ate you alive. 2. Earth, receive a troubled guest. Whitney Houston is laid to rest. Let this Newark sister lie emptied of our dreams. For in the nightmare of the dark, all the masks we had of your majesty ate your face. All our refusals to look into your blackness have blinded and scarred our eyes, have turned to brown ash all our crystal-strewn pedestals in a parable of genius and dust. And now you hang in memory over us, Our Lady of chemical and too human sorrows, trapped eternally in a crystal cage, only free in the shadow of Sirius, only free in fleeting notes and electrons, of youth, love, and limitless potential, before yours turns slow to a curse. Thank you. This poem is called Song of the OG, the Song of the Triple OG Bird Rescue Man. Blood is the color that mixes late September. It tints the concrete of a late sunset mass. It makes a mass of brothers and blackbirds. The OG in white will take them. Here's on the wings of those beat and broken migrations, those caught up in wounds and rickety structures, those lost in aromas, poisons, and intoxicants elusive until they could not breathe. The OG in white will bring them home. Elusive is the errant gangster disciple as he washes his pavement of red. Elusive, his second act with body bags. Elusive, his church with invisible chimes, with the yellow tapes fluttering in the leaves, with dust to dust, coloring everything around it. Lord, I'll go sweeping through the city where my hood niggers have gone before. The old man claps, and cleaner particles become a set of flying nightbirds. The old man claps, and ruins of a playground become neither ruins nor a playground. The arcs of the busted jungle gym lift and resheath their pipe swords. Lift every rock that interacts with the ash as the swing set chains stop their hanging. At dusk, homegoings are everywhere. Agony moves through Anglican storefront. Agony lies still in the gravel. Dope boys barely make their stops. Dope fiends run to the water. At dusk, the OG finds place after place to give rosaries and proper burials. I will stand someday by the river, won't be back on this block no more. The OG in white will take them. The OG in white will bring them home. Thank you. Whew. This book was my way of saying goodbye to Tacoma. The Tacoma that I knew for 20 years. I wanted to give a love, to write love poems for people who didn't get enough love in this world, and to try and create something that couldn't be gentrified, that couldn't be torn to the ground. This poem is called Elders Rage at the Water Spirits After a Shootout. Reflection on the lake is a ripple that eats and spits out an outline of the woods. The women in black dip their old tambourines and blur away from them. The old men tie their suits into knots and blur away from them. The people join and move their hands to deny his name in the cold. The water spirit brought us. The water spirit will not bring us home. They wash the memory of blood and ice and cry power in the darkness. The water spirit will not bring us home. Hums turn to shouts and chants rewoven. Moans play and scale with the squirrel bounce. The water spirits will not bring us home. Frogs jump a beat back from their hand claps. Night bugs swarm but cannot trace steps in an array of burying grounds, of shadows and spirits in the water. The juba clap is the overriding veil of sirens and funeral pyres. The gunshot at night is the 11th plague, so they part this iteration of the sea. The water spirit brought us. The water spirit will not bring us home. Thank you. Sometimes I talk to my grandma. She's been dead for 30 years. She was murdered 30 years ago. My way of coping is having ongoing conversations. She was telling me about how the Nepsis sisters, the East African goddesses, didn't get credit for getting Jesus out of at the cave. And this is their story. The Nepsis sisters telling the homeboy about the resurrection. It was the second day his father rested. Disbelievers swept the city for witnesses. Cocks crowed the minute loved ones hid, but could not part with any more blood. In the second Passover, they could not sacrifice for the hell of the judgment and the absurd. But we rose and made a night of falcon wings. Juba gods rumbled all dirt from Damascus to see the wheel of all bones turned two by two. And the wailing women turned into hawks, the transmogrified and moving on the earth's axis, that burned the white hieroglyphs that flew over rocks to make their cave enclosure sign. And after the circle came and left, the sun, upon his return, was swept by cartographers masquerading as friends, idolaters waving their wild-cut palms to block him from the arms of his mother, then block him from the heresies, then block him from the heresies of Mary Magdalene. The son kept his head on a swivel. The father again turned his depravity to myth. The sun once again dreamed of exit. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sometimes I like to do love poems different. If I do a love poem collection, it's going to be called Age-Appropriate Love Poems. This next poem is called, and I will find it. Sorry. This is a Value Village love poem. Old jackets don't fit, love. But did they ever? Insignias and hats fade into cycles of discount trend racks. Jerseys and Spanx contract arbitrarily and scarves hollow in the Klieg highlights without the heads that gave them meaning. Age and price may dictate our shape, but wherever you are is the boulevard. Let me adorn you a crown of price check rosaries. Let my loves be the alms that never signal, for without you hoop earrings of metal. Extensions just threads away from their orbit, away from their center and star. Let them price to infinity our posters and memories. Let them splice the hood in the meridians of invisibility. In my arms you are never gone. My dear around the way girl, dance with me by the cell colors. Time may erase all style to memory, but the intercom is playing our song. Thank you. This next poem is, let me find it. Almost got it. Thank you for being patient with me. Thugs and their aunties honoring Tahlequah by the South Sound. Take a breath for a second. Thank you all for being here. You'll be, if you like what you're hearing, you'll be doing me a tremendous solid by donating to the Robert Needs Food for the Bus Fund. just $20, but I can go as low as $15. And here's the poem. Up above my head, the music in the air is the siren for evergreen smokers. The unheard click in radio frequencies and announcements too much to bear. Pass her not, O gentle savior. Soul claps overdub Sunday bells median between mermation and migration. If we still move to the water, gathering in tandem under the flycatchers, under patterns and precipices, turbulent and non, and crow scales overdubbed by our hand claps. Hear our humble cry. Their feet, we make the tedious journey. Discounts raise, then pumps raise, then Timberlands possessed by the particularities of the spirit. Pass over painted columns, pass over musical accompaniments, and stained window slants, blunting those bedeviled by Exodus. Why on others thou art calling? Rumbles of patterns call country flocks to the pebble shore. Cross lights drown out bishop calls. The water is now Sunday witness. Do not pass her by. Do not pass her by. Black wings and royal pews weave hidden estuaries. kneel among jays stuck off in rocks in hidden northwest backwoods. Ice and isolation dictate all beats as mothers throw dirt in the water. Men raise ankles and sift in the waves as mothers throw dirt in the water. Elders throw dirt. Elders. Fake jewelry in the broken moth quilts from circles among soul clappers as mothers throw dirt in the water. Do not pass her by. Pass her not, O gentle Savior. Hear her humble cry. While on others thou art calling. Do not pass her by. Do not pass her by. Do not pass her by. Thank you. One of the places where I learned to cut my teeth as a writer and receive the support that I needed was the wonderful people at Jack Straw. And feel free to support them in any way possible. And I'm very glad to be here. I'm very glad they're still here. They're a vital part of this community. I'm grateful, and I know Catherine's grateful that we had a chance to do this. I got 2 more poems. 2 more poems. This next poem is called The Last Time I Saw Little M. That was your watch, your shirt, your starter jacket. That was the brooch of your grandmother's chain. Full of old filtered metals taken at the court you will never hang with them at. Never again. Those trinkets turned symbols and faded out jewels that could and could never be sold. That was his arm, his hands, and his fingers that waved his gun at you, waved it in the cold as his trigger wavered from side to side, as the rain shrunk his jersey into his bones, as the rain touched his pimples and his eye socket, and his blackheads and breastplates, the scars from that rock, big enough. Bobby, you have to keep the procession going. Thank you. This next poem is dedicated to my mama, who and this is the last poem. And just thank you once again. If you like the books, $20 will be a godsend. You can get 80 poems, 80 of these. Mama, November the 4th through the 5th, 2017. Use what words you want in your blood red sea. With a billion gulps, spits, groans, and swallows. You don't have to speak of birds for me. Jagged spasms make eternally, oh please, of interior matter and sorrows. Use what words you want in your blood red sea. By your blood, blurred is the reality of our skins, imprisoned in metaphors. You don't have to speak of birds for me. They mattered, the weights we carried, but now don't carry them on my account. Use what words you want in your blood red sea. Stoicism coats the end of our journey, but doesn't clear the palate in our rivers. You don't have to speak of birds for me. Life is a floor untouched by reality. Reality is a veil over our fractured faces. Use what words you want in our blood red sea. You don't have to speak a bird's name. You all have been very wonderful. Thank you.